Hello, and we are coming to you from Mining Indaba 2022. And right now we are touching on quite a pertinent topic, which is the circular economy and mining's role in the circular economy. And I'm joined by Riaan Koppeschaar, who's the Financial Director of Exxaro. Riaan, thank you for joining us. Now, there's no doubt that mining has a vital role to play in the circular economy with the optimization of mineral resources. But really, can mining be circular, and what does it mean in a practical sense?
Thanks, Gerard. So traditionally, the circular economy in the mining industry has been seen as waste management and also recycling products. But I think the concept has now become much wider to also include the assets of the company. Now, for a mining company, the biggest asset is the land that they own. That land previously, in our case, was used for agricultural purposes. And with the mining activities, the agricultural activities ceased on that land. Now, what we aim to do is to repurpose that land once we rehabilitated the mine, to give it back to the communities to start with farming operations again. Now, also the farming operations, I don't think it's the traditional farming operations that we know. It's the regenerative farming operations where you make use of advanced technologies to treat the soil, make sure that the crops are water efficient, and to maximize yields. Now, also the other very interesting that we can do as a mining industry is to make water available to these communities. So normally our mines are in remote areas that are water scarce, and due to our processes, we produce quite a lot of processed water, which we then treat and can put back in the river systems and also make it available to the community for either potable water or for agricultural purposes. So that is what we do. But apart from that, there's an interesting space also opening up in renewable energy. A lot of the mining companies are looking to decarbonize their operations through renewable energy. At Exxaro, we are also busy constructing our own solar farm at one of our mines. And you can also upsize that facility to produce sufficient electricity to fulfill the community's energy needs, either households or even for agricultural purposes. So those are some of the initiatives we're implementing. Then I think also very important is normally these communities or entrepreneurs don't have the financial ability to be able to run these businesses. So we've got a very extensive enterprise and supplier development program where we give financial assistance to the entrepreneurs, but also mentorship for them to have financial literacy to be able to run these businesses. And ultimately the aim with this must be that the day that the mining activity ceased, these entrepreneurs are able to continue running their own businesses without the assistance from the mining operation.
Okay, Riaan, it's very interesting that you touched on the transfer of knowledge, the transfer of skills. But so let's look at the mining life cycle and communities. What is the role of community groups in ensuring that there's regenerative outcomes and transfer of skills?
Yeah, so very important when you start a mine, part of your licensing is a social and labor plan. That social and labor plan must be consulted with the community. You must get buy-in from them to enable you to get your mining license. But I think it extends what we're doing beyond the social and labor plan. We want to make sure that we get the communities on board from the start to explain the vision that ultimately what we want to do is to hand the land back to the community for farming operations and for them to be able to then run successful businesses. So the role of the community pretty much entrenched in that. And then also, as you pointed out, the transfer of skills, apart from the normal employment where we are targeting the local communities, also making sure that we train them up in the right disciplines to support us as a mining company, but also that they have skills to be entrepreneurs in their own right.
That's interesting. One final question, Riaan. I mean, we talked about communities, but let's look at mining companies themselves. What are the key social and environmental aspects of mining in the context of a circular economy, and how do we navigate these in terms of operations and technical and financial requirements in a mining company?
So socially, I think the biggest fear of the community is the day that the mining operation cease, that they won't have employment opportunities, what's going to happen to their livelihoods. So by putting in place, for instance, regenerative farming, starting up smaller enterprises, I think you address that. And then secondly, also from a social perspective, to decarbonize, to make sure that from a living standard point of view, the mining community is not affected. Air pollution, dust pollution, clean water. So the mining industry can also assist in putting that together. Then financially, I think people are starting to realize that ESG compliance is actually not a cost. It's actually, if you do the modeling, it can actually be a benefit to you. So what the mining industry must aim to achieve is turning a previous liability actually into an asset. Many of these community type of projects are attractive investments in their own right, if you do it at scale. I think the one area that we still need to overcome is we normally, for that to be successful, you need scale. So I think mining companies must rather pool their resources together and not do it in silos. And by pulling all the resources together at scale, you can make a much larger impact in the community.
Absolutely, and I think you touched on the salient point that it actually is a collaborative effort. Riaan Koppeschaar, Financial Director of Exxaro, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Gerard.